Right, good morning to you all. Our assembly today, Tuesday, the 9th of March. So we're getting there now. We're getting close to the juniors coming back. All of the infants are having a great time. These will be the last couple of assemblies now that we're publishing on YouTube because we'll get back to having our live lessons next week when I broadcast into your classes. So looking forward to that. Looking forward to getting you back in as well. And I hope you enjoyed yesterday's assembly about Science Week. We've got me today now, and because it's my first assembly of the week, we've also got our question of the week. And I've got a bit of a maths problem for you today, something for you to solve, something for you to think about. When Grant was 8, his brother was half his age. Now Grant is 14. How old is his brother? So that's your question. When Grant was 8, his brother was half his age. Now Grant is 14. How old is his brother? Right. So all answers shall be given on Friday. So we get on to today's assembly, which is about being grouchy. And being grouchy means being grumpy. And I can remember back to when I was a little boy. There was a character on Sesame Street, perhaps you know him, Oscar the Grouch, and he used to live in a we would call it a rubbish bin. In America, in Sesame Street, they called it a dust can. So a dust can is an American word for a bin that we have in this country. Oscar the Grouch. I also love Sesame Street. Although Oscar the Grouch was great, my favourite character was probably the Cookie Monster, for all those of you who've seen it. Or perhaps your mums and dads are watching this thinking, yeah, I can remember that from Sesame Street too. So I hope you enjoyed today's assembly about being grouchy, being grumpy, and how, when you're like that all of the time, cannot be a good thing in your life. So Charlotte was a grouchy child, an extremely grouchy child. It didn't seem to matter when it was, where she was, or who she was with, she was grouchy. She was sometimes able to give a reason for her grouchiness, or many reasons, but at other times there didn't seem to be any reason at all. As you can imagine, this was very hard for Charlotte's parents, who loved their daughter dearly and didn't want her to be unhappy. And it made it almost impossible for Charlotte to make friends. This is Charlotte's story and about Lucy, the person who helped her to change her ways. Please listen carefully. Charlotte had a bad reputation for being grouchy. At school, none of the children wanted to sit next to her. No one wanted to work in a group with her, and nobody chose to play with her in the playground. You might think that Charlotte was unmoved by other people's behaviour, that she was happy with her own company and used to being alone. However, their reactions upset her, although she would never admit that to anyone. In her mind, her reasons for being grouchy were perfectly good, and she had every right to complain. After all, who wouldn't be moody if they were tired? Who wouldn't be irritable if they were hungry or thirsty? Who wouldn't be miserable if they were feeling ill? Who wouldn't complain if it was raining and cold? Who wouldn't be grumpy if they had to do maths and they hated maths? Charlotte didn't think she was in the wrong, and the other children didn't want to be friends with a grouch. Lucy was different. She had joined Charlotte's school and her class halfway through the autumn term. Lucy and her friends had come to the area from another city far away. So she had not only moved schools, she had moved house and area too. Lucy was a friendly, confident girl. She hadn't particularly wanted to move, to leave her friends and family, but she was determined to make the best of a difficult situation. She was determined to make new friends, and that is exactly what she did. The other children in the class welcomed her with smiley faces and lots of friendly advice and tips as the best way to do things. And they seemed to appreciate the fact that she was trying to fit in. Lucy noticed Charlotte immediately. She was the only miserable face in a classroom of otherwise happy children. Telling herself that everyone can have off days, Lucy allowed herself to be swept away with the excitement and the busyness of her first day at a new school. However, after a few weeks, Lucy couldn't help noticing that Charlotte hadn't been having an off day at all. On the contrary, miserable, grumpy behaviour was normal for her. Lucy made friends easily and she was very happy in her new school. Her outlook was wonderful and she was determined to do her best and to enjoy life to the full. She was also ready for a challenge, which is why she was eager to find out why Charlotte was so grouchy all of the time. Lucy talked to her new friends. "Why is Charlotte so sad?" she asked kindly. "Oh, she's always been like that," they replied. "There doesn't seem to be a good reason." Not content to dismiss the subject, Lucy continued. "But she doesn't have any friends. She must be lonely." "We've tried," the others said defensively, "but she doesn't do anything but complain or snap at us. There's nothing we can do." The next day at playtime, Lucy went to speak to Charlotte. She was sat by herself, as usual, on a bench in a corner of the playground. "Hi, I'm Lucy," she said, with a huge smile on her face. "Oh, I know who you are," Charlotte replied, with an equally large frown. But Lucy was determined. "Well, I was just wondering if you'd like to play a game with me. You can choose the game." Well, Charlotte had spent too long being miserable and bad-tempered. She refused Lucy's offer, dismissing it immediately and without even a second thought. However, you'd be glad to hear that Lucy persevered. She kept asking, and eventually Charlotte agreed, reluctantly. But she did agree. To start with, their games were short and Charlotte continued to be grouchy throughout. But over time the games grew to be longer. They met outside school too and Charlotte seemed to change. It was as if she had forgotten to be a grouch and was actually starting to enjoy life. As the weeks and the months went by, Lucy managed to encourage Charlotte to play with her other friends too. They couldn't believe the difference in Charlotte. Lucy had not been willing to give up on Charlotte. Lucy had seen how unhappy Charlotte was, even if she hadn't been willing to admit it. Lucy didn't like seeing anyone miserable, and she was determined to break through the icy wall that Charlotte had built around herself. Consequently, Charlotte changed. Lucy helped her to realise that complaining about everything not only makes us feel bad, but it makes everyone who comes into contact with us feel bad too. Charlotte discovered that life wasn't always going to be easy, but our attitude towards it can change. She had decided that she didn't want to be a grouch anymore. Well, it would be wonderful to think that Charlotte changed so much that she never snapped or complained ever again. That is not true. That's not a problem. Everyone, children and adults alike, get grumpy sometimes and have grumpy days, and it's okay to have those days. However, what is not okay, what is guaranteed to pull you and everyone around you down, is if every day is a grumpy day. You don't want to be known as a grouch, do you? Well, I enjoyed that. Some people are happy in life, some people are too grouchy. Sometimes we call them mood hoovers. Because if you've got you're feeling good or in a good mood, they can suck that out from you just like a vacuum cleaner, just like a hoover, a mood hoover. Or sometimes you also call them lemon suckers. They often walk around with faces like that. So don't be a mood hoover, don't be a lemon sucker. It's okay sometimes to be grumpy, feel a bit sad. But to feel like that all of the time is not going to win you many, many friends. And if you're always feel sad about something or we're upset about something, as we should always do, is talk about it. To somebody who we trust, to somebody who we respect, to somebody who we know will give us good advice and help us. It's okay to feel grumpy, but always talk about it. Don't ever let it get to you so much that you're grumpy all of the time. So remember my question of the week. Grant, When he was 8, his brother was half his age. Now Grant is 14. How old is his brother? So, we shall see. Right, have a lovely week. Enjoy your work at home. Just a few more days now left before we get back to being all together and hopefully not have to spend any more time in the house. So, we'll finish with our school prayer, but as we know, it's extremely important. Put our hands together and eyes closed, or we will pray in whichever way we wish. But we will all say our school prayer. The thing that brings us all together. Un, dau, tri. This is our school. Let peace dwell here. Let the rooms be full of contentment. Let love abide here. Love for one another and love for life itself. Let our school be a lovely place where all of us are caring to each other, to work our best and show our smiling face, staff and children helping one another today and always. And as I always say, to finish my assembly, over and